People love beautiful love tales, especially when it involves a rich person marrying a poor one. For a reason, there are plenty of K-dramas with the same story. However, it does happen in real life, but in this particular story, it turns into a nightmare for Samsung's princess. Lee Boo-jin is one of the chaebols and heir to a conglomerate, who is one of the richest people in South Korea. Her net worth is almost $3 billion. Lee Boo-jin is the daughter of the late Samsung magnate Lee Kun-Hee and is currently the CEO of the prestigious Shilla Hotel. You have probably heard the name Shilla Hotel. Many Korean celebrities have gotten married there. Lee Kun-Hee had 3 daughters and 1 son. She is the eldest of the daughters and most favorite daughter of the late Lee Kun-Hee. Due to that, she got the nickname Princess of Samsung. And yes, Lee Kun-Hee did pass away in 2020, but while the whole saga had happened, he was still alive. When Lee Kun-Hee passed away, his son Lee Jae-yong was chosen as executive chairman. Like in dramas, the CEO's son or daughter goes undercover and starts as an intern and goes up the ladder. That's what Lee Boo-jin did for 5 years. So when everybody later on found out, they were in shock. Not only she was hardworking and smart, but and very beautiful. Her dad started to bring her everywhere around, not shying away from how much he loved his daughter. But since she started to appear in the spotlight, her dad had to hire bodyguards for her daughter. He hired around 10 bodyguards, but one of them stood out for her, and it was Im Woo-jae. She liked that he was a quiet and calm person. She felt that she could trust him and he wouldn't betray her. So she felt comfortable talking to him, and with time she started to have feelings for him, so she confessed. However, Woo-jae was terrified, as it wouldn't be a normal relationship. It would involve plenty of higher-ups that could try to get rid of him by any means. It's not common in Korea for one of the richest people to marry a commoner. Most of the time they marry for business than for love. So Woo-jae thought that he was even less than a normal person. His family ran a small store, didn't make much money, he only finished high school and he couldn't find a job after that. He only got a job in Samsung because his friend worked there and he recommended him. So he said nothing to her and he couldn't even look at her eyes for a few days. But she wouldn't give up and said she didn't care about his background and she loved him for him just being himself. Then Lee Boo-jin's father wanted her to go on blind dates, but she said no as she had someone that she loved and it was her bodyguard. It was said that the late chairman was so shocked that he almost fainted. He really didn't like the idea of his favorite daughter marrying a bodyguard. Boo-jin didn't care what he thought and just told him it's what it is. But then later on, her father told her to choose billions of dollars of inheritance or her bodyguard, and she chose her bodyguard. As she knew she could make billions of dollars by herself. But her father didn't give up. He kept sending her on blind dates, and he said that if she did not find anyone else she would be interested in, then she could date her bodyguard. Boo-jin, by the end of blind dates that lasted 5 years, did not care about anybody else but her bodyguard. So the late chairman agreed that okay, go on and marry him then. But when the bodyguard was told by Boo-jin that she wanted to get married, he again got very scared. In one of the interviews he said, "When Boo-jin said we should get married, I refused and told her that she shouldn't say such things. There was just too much of a gap between our family backgrounds. Chairman Lee allowed us to date, but I thought that marriage was off the table. But then Chairman Lee himself told me to marry her. I just couldn't say no to the chairman." Once it was announced to the whole Korea, everyone was so surprised at how could Samsung's princess marry her bodyguard. There was a backlash that even Samsung had to lie to the public that actually they met during a charity event. After the marriage, the late chairman wanted to make the bodyguard Im Woo-jae a little bit worthy of her daughter. So he wanted him to get an education. He was sent to one of the best universities in the USA, however, he was very bad at it. He would get frustrated, and in one of the interviews, he said, "I didn't know a single word of English. Chairman Lee told us to go to the US to study." At Samsung, the chairman's words are taken as gospel. "Preparing to study abroad was so hard for me that I even tried to unalive myself. I held my wife in my arms and sobbed like a baby." Boo-jin, seeing him suffer, decides to call her father so that they can come back to Korea, and says he is not very a bookworm and maybe he should rather gain experience while working. So then Im Woo-jae became VP of Samsung's electromechanics division, and this was way higher than Boo-jin started, as she started as only an intern. Then he started to switch. He started power tripping, would treat staff poorly. As well, he made so many mistakes that the company lost millions of dollars. Everybody hated him in there, so they would speak out and that would hurt Woo-jae's ego. He then started to release his frustration on his wife. He started drinking and even put his hand on Boo-jin when she was pregnant. She didn't tell her family what was happening due to how embarrassed she felt and didn't go to the police as the whole country then would talk about it. Later on, Boo-jin became the CEO of Shilla Hotel. She redid the hotel from scratch and made it one of the most luxurious hotels in South Korea. She started to invite celebrities to have weddings there, and with time she started to make millions from the hotel. Due to how she was successful, her husband couldn't stand it. Even though he didn't even earn his position as VP as he was given by his wife's family, he still couldn't handle his wife being way more intelligent and more successful than him. He then started to drink and party every day and had many affairs. Boo-jin couldn't handle any more living like this, and in 2007 she decided to separate after being for 8 years in marriage. 2 years later, Im Woo-jae was involved in a massive scandal involving the late Jae-yong. In her Unalive letter, she made a list of all men that are in high positions that essayed her, and that list included Im Woo-jae. So in 2014, Lee Boo-jin and Im Woo-jae officially divorced. It was filed by Boo-jin and she had to tell them the reason why she wanted to divorce, and that's how the whole country found out what was happening. However, Im Woo-jae didn't want to get divorced, so he appealed to the court. That didn't work, so he decided to sue Boo-jin for $1 billion. He claimed that he was a good family man and was forced to marry Boo-jin by the chairman as mentioned before. And he requested to get paid for mental damages. The trial lasted 2 years and Boo-jin got custody of their child. The court, of course, did not think that $1 billion was fair and said that the property should be divided by how much each person contributed. In the end, he got $6 million. But he then again appealed and said, "No, I want $1 billion. The court rejected his appeal. Then in 2019, a nurse came out with statements saying that Boo-jin was a drug addict and would always come for injections. In Korea, in any case related to drugs, you are immediately cancelled and blacklisted. Korean netizens went mad about this and did not care if it was true or not. Then Boo-jin said that the accusations were not true and that she went to the hospital only once for scar removal surgery and an eyelid lift. The police investigated this matter and found out that Boo-jin was telling the truth. The police also found out that the nurse was promised by Woo-jae's attorneys that she would become crazy rich once they won in the trial $1 billion. Even before, the public didn't believe what he was saying, but after this matter he became the most hated person in South Korea. To this day he denies everything that has been said about him. Boo-jin's attorneys are telling lies in the courtroom. They're saying that I spent my time drinking instead of studying and that I beat her. He never got that $1 billion. What are your thoughts? Thank you for watching and see you next time.